Blessings, love, and light, Yah the Most High, shine down on and in the lives of all of the Creator's righteous children, resurrecting as gods on earth. So let's talk about God again, right? Because, I keep running into, a lot of religious people that believe in God and they believe in Jesus. And because, my understanding of the Bible is, different from theirs, we get into these conversations, right? So this is the question I have to ask. Now, I know I asked this question before, but maybe I must not be making myself clear. So, once again, my understanding of the Bible is different from a lot of people's understanding of the Bible because I study the Hebrew dictionary in the back of the Strong's Concordance. And the reason why I study the Hebrew dictionary in the back of the Strong's Concordance is because the Hebrews, the biblical Hebrews, are actually Phoenicians. And if you look at those words, if you look at the lettering, the writing in the back of the Strong Concordance, when you look at the writing in that Hebrew dictionary, the characters that you see, those are Phoenician letters. And then next to that Phoenician writing, you'll see how to pronounce this particular English word in Phoenician or Hebrew. The reason why these people, why the Phoenicians are called Hebrews is because of what the definition of that English word Hebrew is. The definition for the English word Hebrew, you're going to see inside the definition, land opposite of the Jordan. The land that's opposite of the Jordan is Canaan land, and the people that were dwelling in that land were the Phoenicians. So that's why I say the Phoenicians. That's why I say the Phoenicians are the biblical Hebrews. And the reason why I believe that God is not the invisible man, that God was these ancient East African leaders, is because the Phoenicians are descendants of these ancient East African leaders that established the first civilizations. And in the first civilizations, you need laws, you need statutes, you need commandments in order for that to be a civilization, or in order for that to be civil nations. Now, this is the question I always have for religious people. Do you believe that God is the invisible man? Do you believe that the invisible man's name is actually God? And then I'm like, well, why do you believe that God is the invisible man? And why do you believe that God is actually the name of the invisible man? It's like, which one of us has all of our marbles? Do you have all of your marbles believing in the invisible man and believing that the invisible man's name is God? Or do I have all my marbles when I tell you that biblical God is a council of judges and magistrates in the first civilization? The people that created laws and statutes and commandments for humanity to live by. And I don't believe that God is a name. Based on my study tells me that God is a title. My study tells me that God is an English word, but if you were to pronounce it in the language of the people in that territory, in that East African territory, that council is referred to as Elohim, meaning more than one. When you read the definition, you see judges, magistrates. Those are plural words. I honestly feel like the United States is a pseudo version of what our ancestors used to have. the justice system, the judicial branch of the United States, the legislative branch of the United States, I believe that those are pseudo versions of what our ancestors used to have. And I say pseudo versions because America does not follow their judicial order, their legislative order. They have a lot of people on the council that are not true to their job. They have a lot of people in those positions of power, but they don't operate according to the responsibilities of those jobs. I think I said that right. I think I made sense when I said that. I have to go Marvel Avengers on y'all, man. Stan Lee, I gotta go Stan Lee on y'all. With great power comes great responsibility. We have people here in America that have great power, but they lack when it comes down to upholding their responsibilities. They take advantage of them responsibilities. They operate like children in those seats of responsibility. That's the reason why I say America is a pseudo version of what our ancestors once had. You know, a lot of times y'all hear me say, you know, peace, blessings, love, and light of Yah the Most High shine down on and in the lives of the Creator's righteous children, resurrecting as gods on earth, meaning that the original society, the original government has to be resurrected on this earth, and only the righteous can occupy those seats. Only the righteous can occupy those positions of great responsibility. You cannot be an unrighteous person sitting in the seat of great responsibility. And we have too many people here in America that are unrighteous. They believe in the invisible man, and they sit there and wonder why the invisible man is not doing this and the invisible man is not doing that. Now, somebody like me, I can sit in the seat of great responsibility because I understand what a biblical God is. A biblical God is our ancestors. You can say that our ancestors are invisible, but technically they're not invisible because we are the physical manifestation of our ancestors here on earth. We are our ancestors' anchor here on this earth. Even though their physical body is no longer here, their bloodline is still here. I am attached to the bloodline of those that created the first laws, the first statutes, the first commandments. So I don't necessarily believe in the invisible man. It's just that when I read the Bible and I read a scripture that says, you know, God said this, I automatically think of a black woman in Africa that, you know, gave out an order for people to follow. If the word God has the word he around it, if the word God has he that comes right after it, or it has he that come before it, I know that is a African male leader, an ancient African male leader who is not reached the age of 60, but is in a position of authority. When I see the word Lord God, I see an ancient African male leader, you know, giving out an order or a decree. And I don't believe that, you know, God in the beginning of the Bible, or Lord God in the beginning of the Bible, is the same one that's speaking in the middle of the Bible, or the same one speaking in the end of the Bible. This is a bloodline. This is a, you know, you have the, let's use the Kennedys. So a lot of people, you know about the Kennedy family. So you got John F. Kennedy Sr., John F. Kennedy Sr., who's the president, right? And then, you know, he signs like all of these bills into order, you know, for the United States, you know, to to be governed by. But then he passes away, and now his son is the president. And then his son, might not necessarily like some of the laws that his father passed. So he might write some different laws that overshadow, the bills that his father wrote. And then we got these people talk about contradictions in the Bible. They're not contradictions in the Bible if you understand the Bible. And a lot of people don't understand the Bible because they on this Hollywood fairy tale understanding of the Bible. They're not understanding the history, the ancient African history of this book, because they're not studying the Phoenician definitions of these English words. And I'm just like, why would people not do that when the Bible's telling you it's taking place over there, in a place where the English language didn't even exist? We're over here in America. And if we're going to follow the Bible, we need to follow the way that our ancestors were ruling. The Bible shows you mistakes that ancestors made. The Bible is showing you mistakes ancestors made so that you don't repeat those same mistakes. If you're going to follow their lead, since they're the ones that created these laws, these statutes, and the commandments, it's our responsibility as their descendants to perfect that which our ancestors did. But how are we going to perfect what our ancestors did when we believe the invisible man and that the invisible man's name is God? We are the Elohim now. Oh, well, I mean, not right now, because, we're under the rule of some, I don't even want to say it. All I'm saying is the original gods, the original judges, the original magistrates, we are not actually gods right now. We sitting under some knuckleheads. We sitting back and watching knuckleheads rule over the planet. And we need to the time has come for us to resurrect on earth and put this mess back in balance. Which brings me to another subject, right? So I'll come across an Asian, right? Who believes in God. They follow, Christianity. And we'll get into this conversation, right? And then I'll be like, you know what? I feel like the reason why you gravitate toward this book is because you are actually a descendant of those that got grafted into this bloodline. And if in fact, Asian brother, Asian sister, or most times I refer to them as cousins. If in fact you are one of those that was grafted into this ancient African bloodline, are you aware that the first children who were grafted into this ancient African bloodline, are you aware that they were tasked, T-A-S-K-E-D, a task. They were given the task to build a version of our ancestors' kingdom in their land, in the East. So the reason why you are gravitating toward this book is because you are grafted into this bloodline, and those ancient African ancestors are wondering, why is it that you are not resurrecting that kingdom that you once had in the East? And then, I'll run into like a East Indian brother, a East Indian sister, or, some cousins, that also, follow Christianity. And I ask them the same question, or I tell them the same thing. It's like, the reason why you gravitate toward this book is because you are most likely a descendant of those ancient Africans that broke the bloodline law and grafted your Indian family into this bloodline. And those children that came out of that union, they were given the task to build a kingdom of our ancestors in India or in the South Hemisphere. So why are y'all not doing that? And then, I run into some cousins, whose bloodline originate here in the West, North and South America. And I hit them with the same question. And one of them said, well, actually, we are in the process of building these kingdoms. Have you not heard of BRICS? I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. But then I'm like, are they really, really, really understanding, what it is that they're doing? Does Brazil really understand why it is that they are on the path that they are on? I'm hoping to have this discussion with one of the Russian brothers and sisters, but they'll probably tell me the same thing that the brother from South America told me. They'll probably say the same thing. It's like, do you not think, that Russia knows, what their job is today? You don't think that Russians are woke? You don't think that President Putin is woke? Who else is a part of BRICS? India, which I already had talked to the Indian brother, but we didn't have the BRICS conversation. But who's the other one? China. I had already talked to an Asian brother and sister, but we didn't get on the BRICS conversation. But the brother from South America was like, really, you need to be more focused on the land of the ancient African ancestors. Why is it that only South America is woke? What's going on with that northern part? And that's where all of the conflict is at. The biblical territory, where the first civilization began, there's a lot of conflict in that area. That's the area. Those are the people that you need to be talking to. And I was like, well, in the book of Luke, it talks about, our ancestors' land being trodden down by the Gentiles. So I think basically what we're waiting for is these knuckleheads to wipe themselves out, because none of us are really in a position to go over there and go to war. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, we can go over there and we can start chanting and praying, and while we're chanting and praying, they fighting each other more and more, and then they mess around and wipe each other out, and then the walls of Jericho fall down, and then we just basically just take up residence. Maybe that's how that's all gonna happen. But it was a legitimate point that he made, though. It was like, yo, why you need to be focused on what's going on in the main building. Talk about Africa and Middle East. It's like the main office. It's like, you up here worried about what's going on the earth. What about what's going on in heaven, bruh? Oh, and that's the other thing. Heaven and earth. Heaven is Africa and the Middle East. Earth is the kingdoms that were built as a result of being grafted into the bloodline. A new heaven and a new earth. That's when Africa is resurrected. The bloodline is purified. Everybody's turning back to the shade of the universe. Reconnecting with the sun and the universe. Following universal order. And then, those that are a part of the bloodline, that are descendants of that being grafted in, the new earth, that's when they build their kingdoms that are parallel to the kingdom that's built in Africa. I don't know, maybe I have to go like Marvel Avengers again on y'all, to make another parable or an analogy. Like, think of Wakanda, right? So Wakanda's in Africa, and there's a certain culture and heritage that's in Wakanda. Now think of Wakanda, but you got one in Russia, you got one in Asia, you got one in India, and you got one over here in Mesoamerica. And the reason why you have them in these outside areas of the earth is because of that being grafted in to this bloodline. You know, these that are out in the north, the south, the east, and the west, they have a connection to the universe also, and are able to, or should be able to, govern their kingdoms in the north, south, east, and the west according to how the universe intended for them to do that. But right now, that's not the case. You have Europeans over here having authority over land that they don't even originate from. And the sad part is, they're grafted, a lot of them are grafted into the native Indian and Mexican family. But they have turned the native Indians and Mexican family away from their culture. Native Indians, South Americans, like the Mexicans, they don't follow their original culture. And their original culture actually is very close to the culture that was taking place in Africa, because biblical Abraham is an African person. A biblical Hagar is actually from over here. This is where biblical Egypt was. Biblical Egypt was Atlantis, North and South America. Biblical Hagar was from over here. And the Bible talks about how Ishmael, would be 12 princes. Isaac, puts forth the 12 tribes of Israel, and Ishmael puts forth the 12 princes. But both of these, the 12 tribes of Israel and the 12 princes, they both come from this Abraham, or this black father of multitudes. So I'm quite positive that in ancient times, during the days of the black father of multitudes, during the time of them leaders, the laws, statutes, and commandments that were, governing, or that were taking place in Africa, were also taking place in Atlantis, North and South America, under the rule of Ishmael's 12 sons, or 12 tribes, or 12 clans, or whatever you want to call them. But there was a government that was here, and it was not operating like how it's operating here in America right now. They darn sure did not have any European people on that council. That council was full of red and brown people. Red, brown, and even the real dark ones, the ones that was the same complexion as Amara La Negra. Those are the ones that was on the council over here. Not no Europeans from the north. You cannot even really call yourself a Christian saying that you believe in the Bible when the Bible tells you, covet not thy neighbor's house, nor anything that is in your neighbor's house, not even his manservant or his womanservant. And I believe manservant and womanservant even includes their children, because children start off as your servants. Because that's a part of their, being raised up. That's a part of their training. That's a part of, them coming into adulthood. They start off in servitude. So you're not even supposed to be, having or coveting their children, your neighbor's children. But Europeans is over here coveting everything. You're coveting the Native Americans and Mexicans' land. You're coveting the Native Americans and Mexicans' resources. You're coveting the Native American and Mexicans' woman. You're coveting the Native Americans and Mexican son. You just coveted all of it. But shout out to the ones that are woke. I don't even think that any of them be seeing these videos, because the Europeans that are woke, I think they left America a long time ago. They probably the ones that are up there in Russia. I think Eric Snowden is probably one of the woke ones. That's probably, I would not be surprised if Eric Snowden shows up on the council, the B.R.I.C.S council, and he's a representative for Russia. Eric Snowden is one that I would say is woke. He's probably a descendant of that one that got grafted into this bloodline a long time ago. It's like his ancestors showed him some stuff, and he was like, oh shucks, I'm not even standing in the right place. And my man got up out of here. He got up out this nonsense. So yeah, I would not be surprised when B.R.I.C.S finally, resurrects and gets back into their position. I would not be surprised if I see Eric Snowden on the council representing Russia, yo. I really would not. Okay, so I think that's it. I think that's all ancestors wanted me to say. So, like that one scripture says, he that hath an ear to hear, she that has an ear to hear what the ancestors is saying to your soul. It don't really go like that. It's like, he that hath an ear to hear, let him hear what the Spirit saith to the church. But we know, those of us that are woke, we know that, the temple is not made with hands. The ancestors, or, the ancestors in the ethers, they don't dwell in temples made with hands. They dwell in us. Each of us individuals are a temple. When we come together, I don't even want to use that word church though. I'd rather stick to the word temple. But when we come together, we do form an Elohim. We form a council where we become a council of judges and magistrates. You got in that council, you got your air signs and your water signs, your fire signs, and your earth signs coming together. And all of the messages that we're getting from the ancestors on the other side, we throw all of this information out on the table and we sort through it. And then we determine the best course of action for humanity. That's how I'm seeing it. That's how I'm seeing it, y'all. But like I was saying, yo, you that are woke, you got ears to hear and eyes to see what ancestors are saying to you. Y'all know what time it is. Y'all know what time it is. But this is just me. It's more than just me. I'm like one out of how many thousand? The base number is 144,000. It's like, I wonder if any Asians that hear this post, I wonder if they really hearing and understanding what it is that I'm saying to them. If you know about B.R.I.C.S, then then you should understand why B.R.I.C.S is up and coming. And he's like, I wonder if any East Indians that see this video really understand what it is that I'm telling them. But if they know what B.R.I.C.S is and why B.R.I.C.S is up and coming, they know exactly what I'm saying. Same thing with those, whose bloodline come up out of this Mesoamerican territory. It's like, do you know why, B.R.I.C.S is up and coming? If you do, then you understand this video I just made. The same thing with the Europeans from the north. Do you know why Russia is a part of B.R.I.C.S and why B.R.I.C.S is up and coming? If you understood this video, you know what's going down. But the question is, if you really understand what's going down, that means that you know that you are one of the gods that are resurrecting on earth. And so it's like, shouldn't we be establishing a council? Should we not, start, becoming the Elohim or taking positions of the Elohim, of the new judges and magistrates? Shoot, I hate to go all Prince, the artist known as Prince. I hate to go Prince on y'all, but what was that phrase he used to use? In PG. N is in November, P is in Papa, G is in golf. NPG, you know what that stood for? It stood for the new power generation. Ancestors even showed him what was coming in the future. A whole new, I can't really say it's a whole new breed of leaders. It's just a return of the original leaders. But people that don't know about the original rule in the ancient time, they will see it as a new world order. And it's not a new world order. It's just the old world coming to take over this new world order. We're already in the new world order. Shoot, America, the people that are ruling America, they are standing in a place where they should not even be standing. They're standing in a place where they should not be standing, and they got the whole world going out of order. The whole world is falling into survival mode because of these people standing in the wrong part of the planet. So, you know, with B.R.I.C.S showing up, that's really not a new world order. That's an old world order coming back, you know, to put things back in order. But, you know, keep an eye on the northern part of Africa, man. We really need to keep an eye on what's going on with that, because that right there is going to tell us just how close we are, you know, to this resurrection. That's like the final piece in my book. In my book, that's the final piece, because B.R.I.C.S is already established. The leaders of the North Hemisphere, the East Hemisphere, well, let me say it in order. B.R.I.C.S is Brazil, so the leaders of the South, the leaders of the West Hemisphere, Russia, the leaders of the North Hemisphere, India, the leaders of the South Hemisphere, China, the leaders of the East Hemisphere, and South Africa, they're already in place. Now we're just waiting for that final piece, which is the upper part of Africa. The lower part of Africa, think of that as biblical Judah. The upper part of Africa, think of that as biblical Israel. So biblical Israel, that's the piece that we're waiting. That's the shoe. We're waiting for that shoe to drop. And we all got to ask the question. It's like, yo, since we've been down here running laps around the sun, why have we seen that particular territory that's like always been this stronghold on that territory? And we know the people that's in that territory are not the original people. But why is there a stronghold on that territory? Are they purposely, you know, keeping that final shoe from dropping so that they can continue to keep the planet out of order? It's like, and what is the whole purpose of keeping the planet out of order? Is the greed that bad to where they just absolutely refuse to allow the universe to have its way with this planet? How you honestly believe that you can box with the universe? The universe already determined how this planet is supposed to be set up. It's like, I'm just like, who are you to stop the universe from putting the planet back in order? Who are you to come down here and like rearrange the board? You just gonna come down here and rearrange the chessboard? You changing the names of the pieces? Like, rooks are not even known as rooks anymore. The rooks are called pawns. The pawns are called bishops. The bishops are called pawns. The knights are called queens. The king is a queen, and the queen is the king. It's like how you just gonna come down here and just like rearrange all the pieces and rename all the pieces? Like, who do you think you is? All right, for real, man. Let me end this video, man. I gotta get back to focusing on my driving, because this dude in front of me is like driving extra slow. He's got me driving with my four-ways on, and I'm like, you know what? I need to get out from behind this dude. All right, y'all. So peace, blessings, love, and light of Yah the Most High shine down on and in the lives of all of the creators, righteous children, resurrecting as gods on earth. Ancestors' protection be around y'all. Live righteous always.